The Maharshi conveyed the teaching regarding self-knowledge, or self-realization as we call it, in silence. It is because you yourself are that teaching, are that knowledge, are that self. That self is utterly transcendent in nature, being unborn, imperishable, absolutely formless, timeless, locationless, without any phase or condition or changed at any time. Because it is utterly non-dual, the teaching is conveyed in silence. Even when he spoke, it was still silence. Just as now, your existence is silent. The Maharshi has described silence as that state in which no I arises. Where no I arises, likewise nothing else arises. For first there must be an I born in your experience in order for anything else to be seemingly created. But if no I was ever born, then nothing was ever created. And that is the state of silence, which may also be called the state of reality as it is. To know that reality as it is, which is both infinite and eternal, know yourself. To know yourself, inquire within yourself, who am I? All the rest of the teaching is meant to support this inquiry within yourself as to who am I. So if you misidentify, instruction is given to eliminate that misidentification. The instruction is always for you to look within yourself, to examine yourself closely, to see what yourself is. Thereby you proceed by certitude rather than by assumption. That you exist is certain. No one has a doubt about existing. That existence is mistaken to be some form, such as the body, some thought, or something else, that is mere assumption. By inquiry into yourself, determine what is certain about your being or your innermost consciousness, and what has been merely assumed. Even if something is repetitively assumed, it is not any more true than when it was first conceived. Imagination repeated does not make for reality. You exist. You are existing now. You have been. You cannot remember a time when you did not exist. Nor is it possible to imagine a time when you ceased to exist. It is possible to know of a time when your body did not exist. And certainly as much as there is birth, there is death, so there's a time when your body ceases to exist. Are you the body? Determine this within yourself. If you are not the body, can any of the activities or attributes of the body have anything to do with you? From birth to death and everything in between? If you are not the body, what are you? Where are you? In a similar way, look at your own mind and your own being. Do you regard what you think as real simply because you thought it? Or can any of the thoughts be your actual existence? Like this, inquire. What has a coming and going, or what is transient? What is objective to you? What is dependent and not self-existent? What changes? None of this can be your existence. If you know your existence as it is, you know reality as it is. You know the absolute as it is. And that absolute, that reality, that existence are all one and the same. There is no other reality. There is no other supreme. There is no other self. What do you take yourself to be? You are certain that you exist, but examine the assumptions. The more you examine your own existence, which cannot be perceived objectively, by negating what has been superimposed upon it, by negating what you have misidentified with in the past, the more you examine your existence this way, inquiring, who am I? The less you will know about yourself. And the less that you know about yourself, the more you actually know yourself. If all that can be negated by such inquiry is negated, if all that is assumed is no longer assumed, what remains? What remains is being, but not a form, nothing born or created. What remains is consciousness, but nothing conceived. Being consciousness is simultaneously bliss. It is bliss that is uncaused and without condition. All that has just been said is merely a reiteration of the teachings that have come before, and it is redundant to the silence. It is timeless truth. There's nothing new about it. That timeless truth is your own being, your own consciousness, your own bliss. Sri Bhagavan has said that your greatest glory lies where you cease to exist. That is, where everything from the notion I down to whatever is appended to that I, such as I am the mind, I am the body, I am the senses, and so forth. Where that ceases to exist, your own being is shining. What ceases to exist? That which had no existence to begin with. The real will never become unreal. The unreal never becomes real. What truly exists never ceases to exist. What ceases to exist never actually existed at all. Understand reality in this way. Know yourself in this way. What is you, what is yours, is always you, always yours. What is it that is always you? That does not change with the change of state of the body, living and dying. That does not change with the change of state of the mind, waking, dreaming, deep dreamless sleep, thinking and not thinking. That which is real is always real. That which is yourself is always yourself. Know yourself. The self can be known only by itself. Brahman alone knows Brahman. There's no second one. No second, no I. That is, no individual being separate from the Absolute. This is the significance of that silence. If you have a question this morning, or you wish to relate your own experience, at any point, feel free to do so. Go ahead, Shanti.
Yeah. Thank you for the exquisite clarity of the truth, for which I have yearned for very, very long. And I embrace it with great joy. Not as an it, but as the ever-present reality. And it's a wondrous fulfillment. I can't think of a question. But the presence is so pure and so beautiful, so exquisite. It carries on right where you left off from where you had begun. So my heartfelt gratitude.
I have been coming to a refined understanding of what it is you mean when you say you're identifying with the wrong thing or with a thought or something like that. As I meditate, I find myself caught up in some daydream or other, and I see that I'm involved in the daydream. I'm playing a part in the daydream. And then when I remind myself to ask, for whom is this thought, the daydream evaporates, and yet I'm still there. And so it's sort of an increasing understanding of what that means. I take part in the daydream, but then when it goes, the I that's still there is still there. So again, it's just been increasing my ability to see that.
The waking state experience is just like that daydream. The mind functions in the same way. Subject and object. Some portion, which is really objective to you, is taken up as if it were your identity. That it seems to have a relation to an object. There's an I, there's a this, and the relation between them. As long as the misidentification is there, the daydream, called the waking state experience, continues. When you inquire in your meditation, in your experience, for whom is this? And your attention is again drawn more non-objectively to the I. The daydream vanishes, it evaporates. Likewise, the present waking state experience. Consider all this experience as a daydream lasting 3 or 5 seconds.
The tricky thing for me is the sense of sight. It seems like the difference in meditation, with my eyes closed, it's easier for everything to evaporate.
In a daydream, you're endowed with daydream sight, aren't you?
Yes.
Is it real?
No, it's not.
But it may be your predominant sense within that daydream.
That's true.
But that sense activity is really a function of your mind, isn't it?
Yes.
Likewise, the present senses. The sensing experience is a mode of mind. When you're not in the waking state, let's say when you're in deep dreamless sleep, what happens to your senses?
They're not there.
And your sight as well.
That's correct.
But you're still there.
Yes.
And you're not missing anything. In other words, you're peaceful, you're happy.
Yes.
Whatever was existing in deep sleep that was without sight is even now the same. Existence will not change. It will not go out of existence. If it changes so much as that much, it would be destructible. There is something that is indestructible, and that is you. That doesn't change, is not destroyed, no matter what state your mind enters. Waking, dreaming, daydreaming, deep sleep. That something alone should be regarded as you. So the Upanishads call it eyeless, and yet the eye of the eye, without eyes. Likewise, the ear of the ear, but without ears. Similarly, the unknown knower of all that is known. In relation to the sixth sense of your mind. Why should sight be difficult?
I've wondered that many times over the last years, frankly.
Well, just
It
because you
seems
see,
endearing, isn't it? But
just because you see something doesn't mean it's there.
that's what you've been teaching us.
Have you ever seen an optical illusion or mirage?
Yes.
Was it anything there that you thought you saw?
No, it wasn't.
You see things in daydreams. If the daydream is vivid enough, it's the same in quality as your experience now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all just a figment of your mind. Something is not conceived in the mind. That is real. The one thing that is actually truly existing in your whole dream or daydream is the one thing that's invisible. Your own consciousness. The present state is similar. Now, there are two ways of approach. Either you can keep your eyes closed all the time and thus maintain your meditation and make it perpetual, or you can see that in which the senses are contained is your mind, and find that in which your mind is contained. All this space seen by your eyes is in the space of your mind. The space of your mind is within the space of consciousness. You're the space of consciousness, not what is seen by the eyes, nor are you a seeing entity. If you have this knowledge, it will make no difference whether your eyes are open or closed. Is it clear how to proceed? Go ahead, Eric.
Just going back to that same conversation about the senses, I guess, and the fact of the seeing part. So when you're trying to discriminate out between a sense function and your existence, okay, they don't seem to be connected. But then you notice how the senses are in your mind, and that there's no quality, I guess, or connection between that and your existence.
There are a number of approaches. They're all expedient to pointing out your real nature. Sensing is an activity, isn't it? It's an experiencing,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
an activity. Are you an activity?
No.
So what association can there be?
Hallucination.
All right.
But all hallucination, improve. But yeah, that's.
So if the senses, including the sensing and whatever the object is being sensed, is merely a tiny hallucination, of what concern are they to you? In what way do they offer bondage?
If it's seen as a hallucination, or if it's not seen as a hallucination.
The way you see it.
Well, when I see it as a hallucination, obviously it doesn't, but when I kind of put energy into it, it seems like, I'm stringing out something, some happiness or something out there.
So then there are two states that alternate. One in which you are beyond the senses, and one in which you seem to become entangled with the senses. For whom are the two states? Can you see him? Can you hear him? Can you touch him? Smell him or taste him?
For the one who has those two states.
Mm-hmm.
No, that doesn't exist.
Can you even think of him?
But I'd have to ask, who is that for? If I could think of it.
All right, so go ahead and ask him.
Okay, there's something before thought.
which exists now and always.
Well, that always exists, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's nothing. I can think of something else.
Who is the thinker?
I don't know.
You know that you don't know? The consciousness is perpetual.
Okay, wait. What's this whole thing about I know that I don't know? What does that mean? I don't understand.
You have the mental state of not knowing. Some knowledge knows about that not knowing.
Oh, okay.
Hence, in the 40 verses on reality, the Maharshi makes it clear that that which is real knowledge, the true knowledge, has nothing to do with knowing and unknowing in the usual sense. This is why in self-knowledge, the knowledge is actually consciousness, and not knowing is a conception. Prajnanam Brahman. Brahman is supreme knowledge. Brahman is supreme consciousness. It is self-knowledge, not an objective conception, not a mental mode, however subtle. The consciousness, which is what you are, is itself the knowledge. Hence, being is knowing. If you say there are thoughts, for whom are they? Can there be thoughts for the infinite, ever silent, unborn consciousness? How would it divide itself? Where would it get the desire to do so? If it's homogeneous, it's indivisible. If it is formless, it is infinite, and there is no thought or anything else outside it. It is the undifferentiated essence. So for whom is the thought?
Seems like it can only be for this individual.
Inquire and see what he is. Where does the individuality come from? It can't come from the thoughts because the thoughts are coming after him. It cannot come from the absolute self for the reasons already stated. Its formlessness, its homogeneous nature. And it can't come from itself because that would assume its pre-existence. So where does this I come from?
Is there any other choices?
You must say so. Are there?
I don't think so. It kind of scrubs it pretty clean.
When you say or think I, what do you mean? Who is that I? We know if there is the assumption of I, everything else will follow. Your thoughts, if you're misidentified with the body, the belief in an external world. If you're not so misidentified with the body, you'll know everything to be in your mind. But the mind must still be for someone. Or from another angle of vision, if everything is in the mind, including I, what is the mind? What is its nature? If the mind seems to be a combination of the consciousness plus something objective, there's no such thing as a non-objective thought. Remove the objectivized portion because of its unreality, and what remains of the mind?
Well, it seems like you move up that and the next.
Is it clear for you how to inquire in terms of the senses and the mind?
It seems clear in a certain sense, but in another sense, I'm not sure my mind got everything it was to get.
What are you trying to understand?
And it seems like I'm trying to understand, in a certain sense, this meditation is not on a mental level. But it seems like that there is a certain part of it that is on a mental level. In other words, a part that starts the meditation, or maybe it all takes place on a higher level, but it seems like there's that drive that manifests in the mind or something.
It manifests in the mind, the drive to inquire, to know yourself. From where does it derive?
It must derive from something deeper, right? Because it'd be strange that, here it is driving to dissolve itself.
Why do you yearn to dissolve the mind?
Not because it feels good.
So happiness is the driving factor. Where is the source of happiness?
In myself.
The desire springs from the same place the happiness does. It's an intuition of your natural state. So which part was mental again?
Okay. It seems like it. Okay, how about discrimination? Is that? It seems like because you're discriminating between what's unreal and the real.
Can the unreal do that?
No, that's definitely not going to work.
All right. Then. Let's say you are meditating, you're discriminating between what is thought and what is yourself. Is that mental?
Seems like the initial part is mental.
What is the initial part?
Well, the initial part, discriminating between exactly what you just said. Discriminate between this and this. The thought and the self.
Well, how is the discrimination between thought and yourself occurring on a mental level? You might have the thought, I'm now going to meditate in such and such a manner. All right. But how does the actual meditative experience occur?
Yeah, it can. I mean, the essence of it. Has to be on a deeper part.
So it's a path of knowledge resulting in self-knowledge. It's not thinking about it. However, you can think about it as much as you want. So you listen, you reflect, you think about it, you contemplate on it, then you meditate on it. Shravana manana nididhyasana. Listening, reflection, deep continuous meditation, samadhi, absorption. That is right. No harm in thinking about it. You can think about it all you want. But the knowledge itself is not mental. The inquiry itself is not mental. This is why inquiry can become continuous as well as its depth. This is also the reason why inquiry does not include the dualisms one is trying to transcend. Dualisms are a product of thinking. And thought is naturally discontinuous. You may keep a train of thought when concentrated for a period of time, but it will not go on forever. Knowledge, though, self-knowledge, is perpetual. Considering your own experience, the knowledge that you experience, does it depend on the thought, or do the thoughts depend on the knowledge? Which is the support and which is the supported?
Okay, when you say the self doesn't depend on thoughts, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But how do thoughts depend on knowledge?
The same way that print on a piece of paper depends on the paper. Does the print stand up on its own?
Yeah, because I'm always aware, yeah.
Or in the analogy used by the Maharshi, the screen with the movie images upon it, do the images stand up on their own? This is before the age of holograms. The images depend on the screen. The words printed on a page depend on the paper. They cannot stand apart. All your thoughts depend on you. You do not depend on any of them. It is silly when we think that the experience of the self or our own existence depends on our thinking about it. It is the other way around. All your thoughts depend on a certain existence, or pure consciousness, which is the spiritual essence.
That's pretty amazing.
Can you see this?
I can't say that I see it, but it feels like it's clearer for me, definitely.
Okay.
I mean, just, it seems like, wow, that's pretty amazing, actually. It's good to recognize that.
In last week's satsang, the question was raised, what is daily life? So I've reflected on that a lot this last week. And, it's pretty clear that it's kind of a combination of misidentification of the body with thoughts, with an individual. And Friday night when we were reading from Ribhu Gita, there was one single line in there that really caught me, and I want to read just that verse, if I could, and then talk about it. It says, that state of being full of changeless awareness is the unparalleled liberation. Those who have attained that great state will never again be in sorrow, never again have any blemish, shall attain joy, shall be the ones who have accomplished all they have to do, and shall remain ever the one supreme nature. So I was looking at this daily life, and it's filled with this desire to accomplish. But it seems to be it's inverted. It's trying to have accomplishment in the world, or what it's really wanting is this accomplishment. So after Friday, the thing I was really focused on in meditation is who is this accomplisher? who's this guy that's trying to get something done? And, well, he disappears in the meditation is what happens. But then, reforms again. So it just seems to be the process of examining again, who is this guy that wants to make money? Who is this guy that wants to get something done in the world? And it's all an inverted attempt to try to find happiness. It's like that pop song, I think it goes, looking for love in all the wrong places. It's kind of the same thing.
If you can see that you've been looking for your happiness in the wrong places, asking something else to give you what is actually yours, then your mind turns within and you become detached, unattached to all else. A man who is unattached is at peace regardless of circumstances. And though his body may be engaged in, apparently, from the onlooker's point of view, various accomplishments, he has no idea, no concept of doing anything because he is not the body. Nor is he attached to the success or failure of the activities because he's carrying his happiness within him. No longer demanding it from others who cannot fill him up with what is his.
Others being individuals or objects or events, circumstances, anything.
Exactly so. How can an event give you you? How could another person give you you? You yourself are that happiness. But you go looking everywhere for it. The Maharshi has used the analogy of the person, a woman who, wearing a necklace, loses track of the necklace, thinks it is lost, and goes about searching everywhere for it. Eventually, some kind friend points out how close it is. She recognizes it. That's practice. Recognizing it. What happens? She realizes that nothing was ever lost, yet her happiness is mysteriously regained, as if it had been lost. So liberation is from all the imagined bondage. It seemed as if one was bound, one is liberated from that seeming situation. And sorrow or suffering turns to happiness. What you expect to get at the end of ever so many accomplishments is existing all the time. And pretending it doesn't exist doesn't really help you in any way, spiritually or even phenomenally. There is no advantage to delusion. There is no disadvantage to knowledge. As for Ribhu, go on reading and meditating with it until what he says is self-evident within you.
Just like Jim, the question you asked, what is daily life, just really had a penetrating effect. And I was looking at what takes me out from being who I am. And it's forgetting, which is totally amazing. It's forgetting to do self-inquiry all the time, around the clock. There is no clock. There's no one who does self-inquiry to begin with. But out of who I am. That is just so amazing to me, because I don't want that. What I want is satsang all day. And at night it's there anyway. And I know I'm not the doer. I'm not the one that is having a life or doing anything. I know there's only one, and yet there is a falling out. And I had to come to the conclusion that I forget, and that's even most amazing. How can I forget something that I want more than anything that has form? How can there be a forgetting? It actually embarrassed me a lot. Because when I want something really as much as I want to be who I am all day long, I don't forget those things. I know it has changed quite a bit. And I discovered it just last weekend after we had lunch with somebody who was really lighting into Chris, and I said, well, there used to be that I would say something in defense of him. And I thought, well, it's just in my theater of imagination that disappears. And so just let it run its course. And I discovered just how peaceful I could be with that. And that comes only from self-inquiry. It comes only from neti-neti. It comes only from remembering around the clock to do self-inquiry. So the one that made progress is not available to the one who is.
The desire is there. You now know from last satsang that there's no such thing as daily life, so you need not combine any two things.
Right, I totally fogged over that last week.
Okay. That is just a conception in the mind, daily life, as if it were some other state waiting for you and that you go from one place to another, or that there are things to combine. It might be useful to a certain extent to speak in those terms, but for someone who's inquiring to know who she is, what the truth is, that conception has to go as well. So there's no place waiting for you, even a place of forgetfulness waiting for you. If the desire is there, that will prompt the inquiry. Observe your mind, day and night. Examine closely, and see in what ways you assume yourself to be something that you're not. It's the same principle at work, and you've heard this before. Take it more interior. There is no other state other than that which you conjure up. When you conjure it up, you still have not left the real self. Somebody, the Maharshi calls it the spurious ghost-like entity with no form of its own, an ego, seems to rise, only due to lack of inquiry. If you inquire, there's no one answering to that name.
That's true. It's gone. It's as simple as that.
As long as there is the possibility of alternative states, not one without a second, the inquiry should proceed. So, in one sense, you know your own answer.
Yes, absolutely.
The self itself is said to be beyond forgetfulness and remembrance.
So the ego shows up when I forget. A sneaky way to do it. I had a not so happy dream last night, and when I woke up, I thought, well, how come I can't just wake up from this illusionary dream as fast as that?
Where do you measure the time?
Okay.
The whole idea of quick and slow, fast or abrupt, gradual and developing, etc. That's all in the mind. You are not that. There's no time for your real self.
And I also understand that the mind can't possibly know anything. It's when the mind stops that the knowledge shows up. I just really know that. And I've experienced that on numerous occasions when I just not willfully stop the thinking, but it just happens that the thinking isn't in operation. Then all of a sudden, the next step is just exactly what is perfect.
It is not of great significance whether there are many thoughts, few thoughts, quick thoughts, slow thoughts, thoughts present, thoughts absent. When thoughts appear, has anything actually been created?
No, because it's still the illusion.
So in the Ribhu Gita it says absence of thoughts makes it no clearer.
See how quickly it comes. See, it's just amazing to me how quickly I can go off. I mean, this is for instance, how I go off.
Yes, but one who sees I am going off, she is no longer going off. When we recognize ignorance as ignorance, no longer regarding it as something really known, it ceases to be ours. It was sustained only by us, so when we do not create it and do not sustain it, do not adhere to what we ourselves have created, what happens to it? Someone who can recognize ignorance as ignorance is occurring will not remain ignorant.
That's encouraging.
It's just the simple fact. Take a look at what you have done by way of spiritual practice so far. The apparent obstacles of yesteryear now seem superfluous and silly. The obstacle appears prior to the inquiry, never afterwards.
That's right. That's right. I totally know that. I really know that.
I'm sorry, I missed that. The obstacles that appear.
The obstacle appears before the inquiry. There is no actual obstacle to inquiry. When the inquiry commences, when you make the attempt to know yourself, no obstacle proves to be there. The tendency seems to have, by the force of habit in the mind, power. Where does the power come from? When we seek to know ourselves, what power do the tendencies have? Of course, the one that you have transcended already seems easy, and the one that you have yet to transcend seems difficult. Just as the other person's tendencies seem easy to get over and your own seem to be insurmountable. But it is an illusion.
Just to continue with self-inquiry. Just to continue with it. There is nothing else, and as you've said in the orange book that I've read a million times, not that many, but a lot. And the answer to every question is self-inquiry, is who am I?
All the questions resolve themselves in who am I. The answer to the inquiry itself is the inquirer herself. There is no other answer. Sri Bhagavan has said that if one would just, without hesitation, without interruption, continuously inquire, that alone would suffice for spiritual practice, for complete liberation.
I totally agree with that.
If you totally believe that, then understand this. that experience plus the idea of time is belief in this context. Without it, it's just experience. In other words, what you're believing, that this will be so, is actually the fact already.
So to believe in time is believing in the body.
Yeah, but for purposes of inquiry, just eliminate the I am the body idea and time will take care of itself.
Okay. That's true. And the senses as well. Why should I do self-inquiry about the senses when I can do it about the body and do the whole thing in one swoop?
Mm-hmm. So sometimes the instruction is simply, you're not the body, you're not the mind, you're not the ego. But for those who find it helpful, sometimes more detail is given. Not the body, not the senses, not the prana, not the mind, not the intellect, and so forth.
The other thing
As much detailed instruction about delusion has been given as is necessary for various aspirants to destroy that delusion. They are expedient teachings.
What feels expedient to me too is nothing is real. Brahman is real. All is Brahman. And I know the words about the word all. I got that one too. And when when this envelops my being, then it's just peace throughout.
Seems to be what she was saying also about the desire to inquire versus the desire to acquire things or accomplish things, and desire to do practice. That difference, like the word desire sometimes seems to have a negative connotation, but in this way, desire to do self-inquiry in opposition to desire to acquire things has a positive connotation. So there is no contamination in that desire to do practice.
No, no one has ever been hurt by the desire to practice.
But sometimes in the years of practice I've had, there's been sort of an attachment to that too, which like an objectification occurs. I am desiring that I accomplish this self-realization, I get this thing, and I separate myself in that way also.
When you desire to accomplish self-realization, explain more. What's the desire?
Attain some sort of blissful eternal state, lifts me up above this world and separates me from this worldly experience.
So? What was the problem with that?
It's a form of escapism.
Escape from what?
Escaping from the world, escaping, like running away from.
What do you mean escape or running away from the world? Physically running away from the world? Wherever you go, your body would still be in the world. What do you mean by escapism?
Not dealing with it, not addressing it, and trying to hide in my meditation.
Hide from what?
Avoiding the negative experiences of the world or challenges of the world by trying to go away from it, internalize away from it, hide from it.
Where is the it?
This experience that I is having of this world.
But where is that experience?
Within me.
The whole world is within you?
My experience of it.
What about the world?
feelings.
Your feelings. What about the world itself?
It's out there.
How do you know out there?
How do I know that?
What makes you? What makes
My
you?
thoughts.
when you have thoughts, you have out there. When you have no thoughts, there is no out there?
When I'm still, then I'm not involved. I'm not trapped in that.
Physically still or mentally still?
Mentally.
So when your thoughts move in a certain way, there is the world, and when you become overly attached to that world, looking for your happiness, you get the various emotional responses you're referring to a few moments ago.
Yeah.
Then not being satisfied with that, you wish to escape from that. It's a very healthy desire. Escape and make your escape foolproof. Who would want to remain caught up in egotistical emotions based on false interactions with an unreal world that's imagined within his own mind? Then to criticize yourself for saying, I want to get away from this, after you've made such a mess in the mind. There's nothing wrong with getting away from it, but you're going to have to get away from it in a much more intelligent fashion. In other words, you'll have to recognize its source. Its source. You see, if you simply say to yourself, the world's a negative place and I have to get used to it, what really has been accomplished spiritually? If then further you deride your inspiration to attain a blissful state of self-realization, as you called it, beyond it, what is really gained thereby? You've only at that point taken up a materialistic and atheistic approach.
What?
A materialistic and atheistic approach, which is not necessarily supportive of deeper spiritual states. It's masquerading as non-duality, but it's thoroughly dualistic. The terms sound deep, but it's not deep. You can see this for yourself. Rather, you desire something, but what is it that you desire? If you innocently question what you desire, you'll be led back into yourself. There's no question of really escapism from a world. Nor is there a question of a world.
Isn't also
One who knows himself finds the whole world to be himself. But then again, still there is no world. He's neither drawn to it, nor is he running away from any supposed it. He's not caught in desire and fear. Please, go ahead.
Yeah, I also was implying in that what I said that it's avoiding facing one's own fears, and trying to escape from that as well, rather than facing them and addressing them.
What are you afraid of?
The death of the body, and the pain that might occur with that, or will occur with that, or whatever the fantasy is about that.
All right. You know that death is inevitable. Why do you fear the inevitable? Go deeper with it. As long as you mistake your existence to any extent with the body, there'll be fear of death. That same fear of death can drive you to inquire. Consider the story of the Maharshi's own self-realization.
Yeah.
The same is alluded to in some of the invocation verses in the 40 verses on reality. Those who fear death seek refuge at the feet of the Lord, etc. The verse concludes, will they ever fear death again, or will they ever conceive of death again? If you are born, there is death. Find out the real remedy. If you are not the body, then your existence does not begin and does not end with the birth and death of the body. Far from not dealing with such things, when you dive within yourself, you actually deal with these things. It is the outward turned mind that is merely distracting itself, making believe the inevitable won't come. Everyday life is shorter. As I often say, death comes quickly and unexpectedly. You know that this is going to happen. The outward turned mind is distracting itself, even if such outward turned mind is a conception of, I just have to be with it, or some other such thing. An inward term mind really deals with it at its root.
Transcends it.
By a knowledge of the self, which is the knowledge of reality. If you want to face reality, face yourself.
इन्द्रियेभ्यः परा ह्यर्था अर्थेभ्यश्च परं मनः मनसस्तु परा बुद्धिः बुद्धेरात्मा महान् परः.
The sense objects are higher than the senses, and the mind is higher than the sense objects. But the intellect is higher than the mind, and the great soul is higher than the intellect.
महदः परमव्यक्तम् अव्यक्तात् पुरुषः परः पुरुषान्न परं किञ्चित् सा काष्ठा सा परागतिः.
The unmanifested is higher than Mahat. Purusha is higher than the unmanifested. There is nothing higher than Purusha. He is the culmination. He is the highest goal.
एष सर्वेषु भूतेषु कूटो आत्मा न प्रकाशते दृश्यते त्वग्रयया बुद्ध्या सूक्ष्मया सूक्ष्मदर्शिभिः.
He is hidden in all beings, and hence he does not appear as the self of all. But by the seers of subtle things, he is seen through a pointed and fine intellect.
यच्चेद्वाङ्मनसि प्राज्ञा तद्यच्चेत् ज्ञान आत्मनि ज्ञानमात्मनि महदि नियच्छेत् तद्यच्चेत् छान्द आत्मनि.
The discriminating man should merge the organ of speech into the mind. He should merge that mind into the intelligent self. He should merge the intelligent self into the great soul. He should merge the great soul into the peaceful self.
उत्तिष्ठता जाग्रता प्राप्य वरान् निबोधता क्षुरस्य धारा निशिता दुरत्यया दुर्गं पदस्तत् कवयो वदन्ति.
Arise, awake, and learn by approaching the excellent ones. The wise ones describe that path to be as impassable as a razor's edge, which when sharpened is difficult to tread on.
अशब्दमस्पर्शमरूपमव्ययं तथारसं नित्यमगन्धवच्च यद् अनाद्यनन्दं महदः परं ध्रुवं निच्चाय तन्मृत्युमुखात् प्रमुच्यते.
One becomes freed from the jaws of death by knowing that which is soundless, touchless, colorless, undiminishing, and also tasteless, eternal, odorless, without beginning and without end, distinct from Mahat and ever constant.
नचिकेतम् उपाख्यानं मृत्युप्रोक्तं सनातनम् उक्त्वा श्रुत्वा च मेधावी ब्रह्मलोके महीयते.
Relating and hearing this eternal anecdote as received by Nachiketa and as told by death, the intelligent man becomes glorified in the region that is Brahman.